Imagine a pleasant 75-degree afternoon. You run into a store for a quick errand, leaving your dog in the car with the windows cracked to let in the breeze. It feels entirely safe. This chart tracks the temperature inside a parked car over time. Even starting at a mild 75 degrees, the interior traps solar heat so efficiently that it spikes to a lethal 120 degrees in exactly 30 minutes. Humans survive those climbing temperatures by sweating, which cools our skin as the moisture evaporates. Dogs lack those sweat glands, relying almost entirely on panting to move air across their wet tongues and respiratory tracts. Looking at this thermometer, a healthy dog's baseline temperature sits in a narrow pocket between 101 and 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit. When panting can't keep up, the number climbs. Reaching 104 degrees triggers clinical hyperthermia and severe heat stress. If that temperature redlines past 106 degrees, heat breaks down internal systems. Cells undergo destruction, and blood clots abnormally. Canine heat stroke is a rapid, irreversible countdown to cellular destruction. That countdown begins the exact second the ambient heat outpaces a dog's ability to pant. When a dog approaches that 104-degree threshold, their breathing pattern shifts. The panting becomes heavily labored and fast, and they will expose a wide, flat tongue to maximize surface area for evaporation. As the stress builds, they will produce thick, ropey drool. If you lift their lip, you will notice their normally pink gums have turned a bright, unnatural red. These signs demand mandatory intervention. You must halt all physical activity, get the dog into shade or air conditioning, and offer small amounts of cool water. For certain dogs, this window of opportunity is incredibly brief. Brachycephalic or flat-faced breeds like pugs, boxers, and French bulldogs carry a severe anatomical disadvantage. This cross-section compares the nasal cavity of a long-snouted dog on the left with a flat-faced breed on the right. Notice how the brachycephalic dog has severely restricted airways, making their primary system for evaporative cooling highly inefficient. Because their cooling mechanics are compromised, the timeline between early heat stress and fatal hyperthermia drops drastically. Owners of these breeds must act on the very first heavy pant, rather than waiting for obvious distress. If the temperature continues to rise past 104 degrees, the physical breakdown accelerates. The dog will exhibit severe weakness, wobble when trying to stand, stop responding to their name, and may begin vomiting. At this stage, you need to apply cool tap water directly to the belly, armpits, and groin, areas where blood vessels sit close to the skin. Then point a fan at the dog to accelerate the evaporative cooling process. At this moment of panic, human instinct usually takes over, leading owners to grab ice packs or dump the dog in an ice bath. That instinct is lethal. This cross-section of canine skin shows the blood vessels responsible for releasing body heat. Applying extreme cold makes those peripheral vessels violently constrict, trapping the overheated blood inside the core and actively cooking the internal organs. The same principle applies to throwing a wet towel over the dog's back. Without airflow, the damp towel quickly warms up and acts like an insulating blanket, trapping the heat against the body. Once a dog crosses 106 degrees, they reach the late stages of heat stroke. You will see seizures, collapse, and pale or blue gums. The protocol here is simple. Cool them down with tap water first, then transport them immediately to an emergency clinic. Saving an overheating dog relies entirely on facilitating gradual, evaporative heat loss. Shocking their system with ice shuts down their only remaining avenue for survival. Even if you successfully cool your dog down and they seem to bounce back, do not assume they are safe. The idea that a dog can simply sleep it off after a heat stroke event is medically deceptive. Heat stroke operates on a delayed timeline. The intense heat causes microscopic damage to the kidneys, liver, and intestines, while also triggering abnormal blood clotting. These fatal complications often present 12 to 48 hours after the initial overheating event. Because of this, immediate veterinary intervention is a strict requirement. Your dog needs IV fluids, needs baseline blood work, and clinical monitoring to stop the internal cascade of organ damage, regardless of how alert they look on the outside. Keeping a dog out of the emergency room means setting hard environmental rules. Never leave a dog in a parked car, even for 5 minutes. During heat waves, restrict all walks to the early mornings or late evenings. Asphalt and concrete aggressively absorb solar radiation. Try the 7-second rule. Press the back of your hand firmly against the pavement. If you cannot comfortably hold it there for 7 full seconds, it is hot enough to burn your dog's paw pads. Dogs cannot verbally tell us when their biological cooling systems are failing. Strict adherence to these environmental boundaries and knowing exactly when to step in serves as their only true lifeline.